As before, the Resistance was able to send a lone warrior, a protector for John. It was just a question of which one of them would reach him first.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day is the sequel to the original Terminator movie that was released in 1984. Terminator 2 Judgment Day was released 7 years later on July 3rd, 1991. James Cameron returns to the director's chair along with his co-writer William Wisher, who on IMDb it says did some additional writing on the first Terminator, but for Terminator 2, he's regarded as a writer. We have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who returns as the Terminator from the first movie, except he looks different. We have Linda Hamilton returning as Sarah Connor. We have Edward Furlong, who plays John Connor as a child. We have our new obstacle, our new villain, the T-1000, played by Robert Patrick. We have the psychiatrist from the first movie, Earl Bowen, returning as Dr. Silberman. And we meet the man responsible for the apocalypse in creating the machines that ultimately form Skynet, Miles Dyson, played by Joe Morton. Look out, world, here comes the Terminator. The machines have become self-aware, and so their main objective is to destroy human existence. But there is a resistance that rises up against the machines, and they are led by John Connor. We have our stealing of the clothes scene, which is in perfect contrast with the first movie because they're similar, but yet they're also different. If you've seen the first Terminator movie and you watch Terminator 2 for the first time, at the beginning, you would probably think, what is this T-800's purpose this time? The only thing that I do not like about the T-800 arrival scene is when he steals the guy's glasses. I do not understand why the Terminator needs to wear glasses. It looks cool, he looks cool. Does the Terminator need to feel cool? I don't know. It made sense as to why the Terminator had to wear shades in the first movie, because his human eye was shot out, and so in order to blend in with the crowd, he had to put the shades on to hide his missing eye. But in this, it just feels like the Terminator's trying to be cool, which feels odd to me. But then if you try to think about it as time travel logic, then you could say, okay, so the Terminator has already experienced this moment before. He had already met John and then made it to the future, and then he remembers what John had taught him, but then the timeline just repeats itself. So then they capture him, they reprogram him, and they send him back into the past, but he's already experienced this before. He just remembers what John taught him. So you could say it makes sense in that way, but then it kind of doesn't make sense that way because it's time travel, and time travel is confusing to me. I think it would have been better if Arnold had showed up, went to the bar, murdered those people, because he tries to murder some guys later on in the movie. He should have murdered those people in the bar. So then as an audience, I'm thinking, oh, is he evil? I don't know. And then you have that reveal with the hallway scene.
Oh my god. After that long rant, let's get back to it.
I love all of the scenes of Sarah Connor in the mental institution. There's one deleted scene where Michael Biehn returns as Kyle Reese in a dream. It's not in the theatrical version of the movie because I think it does slow the movie down a little bit, and it does come off as a little corny. But I think it's a great scene because of the chemistry between Michael Biehn and Linda Hamilton, and it does give Sarah Connor more motivation to want to escape the facility. I love this moment where Sarah Connor goes crazy because it's a nice contrast with Kyle Reese going crazy in the first Terminator movie. They're different, but yet the scenes are also similar. And then we cut to Cyberdyne Systems. I like that transition because she says the line,
"The company covered it up."
No. Why would they?
And then we go to what Cyberdyne, this company, is up to behind the scenes. Apparently, after the events of the first movie, Sarah Connor tried to destroy Cyberdyne Systems, which is a company that is profiting off of the Terminator that was smashed in the first movie. Miles Dyson, who is a technological genius, knows that the smashed Terminator technology is going to shape the future.
It's been 6 months, and I was looking forward to seeing my son.
Afraid not. Not for a while. I don't see any choice but to recommend to the review board that you stay here for another 6 months. This is great stuff. I could make a career out of this guy. You see how clever this part is? How it doesn't require a shred of proof? And most paranoid delusions are intricate, but this is brilliant. Model citizen.
We have our newly advanced Terminator, the T-1000, that is completely liquid metal. His hands can form into knives and stabbing weapons, and he can also morph into any human being. This scene is intense, especially if this is your first time watching this moment, because we see the T-1000 and the T-800 on opposite ends of the hall while John Connor is caught in the middle of the confrontation. So, story-wise, execution-wise, and visually, this moment is mwah!
Get down.
Then we have our intense scene where the T-1000 is chasing down John Connor. The music is fantastic. This sequence is filled with suspense, the way it builds, the way the middle portion is executed, the race to save John Connor from the T-1000 and John Connor narrowly escaping is amazing. At this moment, I feel the movie slows down a little bit to have this tender moment between John and the Terminator, and then wiping away the foster parents, and then showcasing the hunt of the T-1000. But I just feel this slows the movie down too much. I mean, it's nice, but yeah.
It's like, sorry kid, your mom's a psycho, didn't you know? It's like everything I've been brought up to believe was all made of bullshit. I hated her for that. But everything she said was true. She knew. And nobody believed her. Not even me.
Sarah Connor's fears come flooding back into her mind when we have some detectives who show up and show her some photographs of the Terminator that tried to kill her back in 1984. The Terminator explains to John that the T-1000 is most likely going to go after his mother to try to lure him in. So John, caring about his mom and realizing that she was put in the mental institution because these people didn't believe her and he was one of them, now he feels guilty for not believing her. Since all this stuff is exposed to him, he decides to go and save her, but then Terminator says we can't do that because it's not a mission priority. But then John says she's a priority to me. The T-800 ultimately agrees to rescue John Connor's mother, but the only reason he does is because John Connor orders him to. Sarah Connor beats the shit out of this man, rightfully so. Did it without a flinch.
What
Just put up your hand and say, I swear I won't kill anyone.
I swear I will not kill anyone.
This moment is funny because he shoots the man in the leg and he says he'll live, but then now the man is going to have to live with a hole in his leg for the rest of his life. We have our intense action scenes where the T-1000 is relentless.
Oh shit.
We have a deleted scene from this movie where Sarah Connor and John Connor take out the CPU from this new model Terminator. Sarah Connor wants to destroy it because of her fear of the future, but then John doesn't want to destroy it because he realizes that this Terminator is good and we do need him to fight the T-1000. We have John Connor who is throwing one-liners at the T-800, and the T-800 is learning how to use those one-liners.
No. You gotta listen to the way people talk. You don't say affirmative or some shit like that. You say, no problemo.
No problemo.
And if you want to shine them on, it's hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista, baby. Hasta la vista, baby.
That's great, see, you're getting it.
No problemo.
The T-800 tells Sarah Connor about Miles Dyson and Cyberdyne.
The Skynet funding bill is passed. The system goes online on August 4th, 1997. Human decisions are removed from strategic defense. Skynet begins to learn at a geometric rate. It becomes self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th.
Sarah Connor, the T-800, and John go to an old friend and they stock up on weapons, ammunition, and trucks. John Connor is trying to explain to the T-800 the ways of humanity.
Why do you cry?
You mean people?
Yeah.
I don't know. We just cry. You know, when it hurts.
But the T-800 still can't understand it.
You get it?
No.
Sarah Connor knows that there is no fate but what we make for ourselves, so she comes to the realization that she needs to kill Miles Dyson in order to prevent the apocalypse from happening. Sarah Connor tries to kill Miles Dyson, but she's a horrible shot, and so she gets up close and personal, but then she realizes that she is not a killing machine, she is a human being.
As quickly as possible.
Gibbons!
I'll take you off to police.
Hey, wait, you swore!
Trust me.
Shit, he's in the clean room. There's no way out of there.
But tell us what your favorite scene is from the first two movies. Mine is the death of Miles Dyson when they're destroying Cyberdyne.
Here, pointers.
Are we learning yet?
top speed.
I can get out of road faster than this!
Hasta la vista. Go, run!
No, we gotta stick together!
John, you got to go now.
John!
Go! Now!
No!
Call to John now.
The T-800 shows up, shoots a grenade, the T-1000 blows up from the inside, turns into this disgusting looking thing, falls over the edge, morphs into the people that it turned into earlier, and then it dies.
There's one more chip. And it must be destroyed also.
No, it'll be okay. Stay with us. It'll be okay.
I have to go away.
No, don't do it. Please, don't go.
I know now why you cry. But it's something I can never do. Goodbye.
I prefer the first Terminator movie. The first Terminator movie didn't have any breathing room. It felt fast paced. It never let up. It hit the ground running. I thought the story was consistent and there was only one or two moments where the progression slowed down. I thought the first Terminator movie was about horror, action, and thrills, whereas in Terminator 2, I feel like there are a lot more spread out moments, there are a lot more slower moments, and the only times where I do feel the suspense and the intensity is when the T-1000 shows up. Terminator 2 was more about spectacle, action, and suspense. It feels like its own movie, which is great. And it's not just piggybacking off of the first one, it's expanding upon it. I thought Terminator 2 was great. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.
Watching John with the machine, it was suddenly so clear. The Terminator would never stop. It would never leave him. And it would never hurt him, never shout at him or get drunk and hit him or say it was too busy to spend time with him. It would always be there, and it would die to protect him. Of all the would-be fathers who came and went over the years, this thing, this machine, was the only one who measured up. In an insane world, it was the sanest choice.